Folks, Eric here at Baileigh Industrial, and today we are going to discuss some of the operational functions of a very popular machine for us, our mandrel benders. And the one we're looking at here specifically is an MB-60 NCE2, meaning a 60 millimeter machine, NC controlled with two operational axes. So first off, in the controller here, you'll see this main screen here. First function we're going to go to and check out is going to be program mode or automatic mode. So to set or to create a bend program that you would save in the controller, you would go into program mode here. And that's going to take you to this first general parameters screen. First thing to do is enter your material length in millimeters, pipe die diameter in millimeters, and the tool radius in millimeters. So you'll have to do a little converting on these two here. This one here should be stamped on the forming die, which is on the machine, or the die that you have here. You also can set the lubrication time in milliseconds as to how long the system, if it has a central lubrication system on it, will self-lubricate that mandrel. Once you have all this information set, you can proceed to the next screen, hit the next button right there. And you're going to start setting up bend number 1 of this particular program. In this case, this program is called Test 1. We're going to set up the first bending operation of Test 1, and there are 15 different savable fields in each bend program that you can have on here, and there's 100 different bend programs that you can save on this controller, so quite a few. First thing we're going to enter here is our bend degree. Simply touch the field, put in your bend degree that you are wanting, hit enter, and that's in there. Our compensation here, which is basically meaning our springback of the material. Generally on these machines they're pretty accurate. A 3-degree springback is usually get you pretty darn close right there. And our speed of bend here, we can have anything from about 60 or 50%, I'm sorry, to 100% on our bend speed. On our rotation of the Z, that's referring to material rotation. If we want the material to have a different plane of bend on it for the next bend, we would put in a degree in here. This is the first operation, so generally you wouldn't put a rotation at this point. So we'll leave it 0 for now. And the compensation here is basically compensating for the weight of the material. As you rotate material, it might be relatively larger in size. You might have a lot of material on that first bend that's left over or hanging out of the die. It takes a lot of weight and can affect the rotation, so you can build in a compensation for any backlash just because of all that weight. And this is of course the speed of that rotation. Right now it's at 100%. This field here is the mandrel extraction. Basically when the bend arm is at 3 degrees of where it is set at here in the controller on the bend Y field, the mandrel will retreat or go back to its home position to get out of the way for the rest of that bend. So now that program number 1 is set, we're going to hit our down arrow here and advance to number 2 within this same Test 1 program and set it up from the beginning. So our bend degree, we would touch that. Let's say we only want a 45. We did enter. Our springback compensation, we'd put at 3%, or 3 degrees rather. Our bend speed, let's say for instance for this case we want it to slow it down a little bit, let's put it at 50%. Our rotation, now let's say we want to put this 45 on a different plane, 90 degrees to the bend prior to this. So it's going to rotate the material. We don't necessarily need a weight compensation for, in this case. Our rotation speed is usually going to be left alone. And our mandrel extraction, we're going to keep that at about 3 degrees. And that is set. Once that's all set, once you go through all those parameters and all the different stations that you need for the respective part, you then hit the little file key here, and it's going to give you the option now to name that file if you want to rename it. If you're happy with what it does say, you can just write it to the PLC, which basically means it's going to download it to the PLC. And then we're going to hit our back arrow up here, go back to home, and that program is set. So now that our program is created, we can now go into automatic mode and run that program. So when we touch automatic mode, you'll see here all of our parameters that we set up. The name of the program, our material length in millimeters, our material OD size in millimeters, and our tool diameter in millimeters. And down here we have the lubrication time set for the mandrel. If your machine has a central lubrication system on it, this would be something you'd set for how long that lubrication gets through the system and how long it's going to lubricate the mandrel for when it does do that. So the screen on the right here is our bend parameter screen that we set up in program mode. Here is our 90-degree bend, our 3 degrees of spring back, our 100% operational bend speed. We have no rotation at this point, be it the first bend, and our compensation for that rotation, we have nothing on there either right now. And our speed of our rotation is at 100%. So now that we've gone through program mode, we're now in automatic mode. We're ready to run this program from start to finish using the foot pedal on the console. So we're not using our plus and minus keys anymore. These are really just for manual mode only. We can now use our foot pedal to actuate all the operations of the machine and do bends in sequential order.